Hello, and welcome to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and joining me today is my amazing co-host, Julia. How are you doing today, Julia?
Hey Jason, I'm doing great and I'm super excited about today's topic because it's something that every English learner struggles with at some point: how to actually start speaking English.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to help with today. So, if you're listening to this and you've ever felt nervous about speaking English, or you don't know where to start, this episode is for you.
Yes, today we're going to share 5 powerful ways to help you speak English more naturally and confidently. These are simple, practical techniques that anyone can use, no matter where you are in your English learning journey.
And the best part? You don't need expensive courses, a classroom, or even a language partner to start using these methods. You can apply them in your daily life, starting right after this podcast.
Exactly. Whether you're a beginner who feels too shy to speak or an intermediate learner trying to sound more fluent, these 5 methods will help you break out of your comfort zone and start speaking English with confidence.
So, stick with us until the end of this episode because we'll also be sharing some bonus tips on how to overcome common challenges like fear of making mistakes, lack of practice, and more.
And if you find this podcast helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends, and leave us a comment. We love hearing from you.
All right, let's jump right in. The first thing we need to talk about is why speaking English is so important. Before we share the 5 ways, let's quickly discuss why practicing speaking is the key to fluency. So, before we dive into the 5 ways to speak English, let's take a moment to talk about something really important: why speaking English matters so much.
That's a great point, Jason. Many English learners spend years studying grammar and vocabulary, but still struggle when it comes to speaking. Have you ever heard someone say, "I understand English, but I can't speak it"?
Oh, all the time. And that's because learning about English and actually speaking English are 2 completely different things. You can know all the rules, but if you don't practice speaking, it's hard to communicate fluently.
Exactly. Speaking is like a muscle. You have to train it regularly to get stronger. Think about it. If you want to get fit, you don't just read about exercise, right? You actually work out. It's the same with English.
That's such a good analogy. And here's another thing. English is a global language. Whether you're traveling, working, studying, or even using social media, knowing how to speak English can open so many opportunities.
Yes, it's the language of business, technology, and international communication. So if you can speak English confidently, you'll have an advantage in your career, education, and even your personal life.
And speaking English isn't just about job opportunities, it also helps you connect with people from all over the world. Imagine traveling to another country and being able to have conversations with locals. It makes the experience so much richer.
That's so true. And let's not forget, speaking English builds confidence. A lot of learners feel nervous or shy when they try to speak, but the more you practice, the more comfortable you become.
Exactly. And today, we're going to help you overcome that fear. We'll show you 5 powerful ways to start speaking English more naturally and fluently.
Yes. So, if you've been avoiding speaking because you feel scared or unsure, don't worry. We've got you covered. Let's get into it.
All right, let's start with way 1, speaking with yourself. This is one of the most effective ways to improve your English, and we'll tell you exactly how to do it. All right, let's dive into way 1, speak with yourself. You might be thinking, wait, what? speak with myself? But trust me, this is one of the easiest and most effective ways to practice speaking English.
Exactly. It might sound a bit strange at first, but this method is so powerful because it allows you to practice without needing a partner. You're literally your own best practice partner.
Right. For example, when you're doing everyday tasks like making breakfast, driving to work, or even just walking, try describing what you're doing in English.
Yes, or you could pretend you're explaining something to someone. Imagine you're giving a tutorial on how to cook your favorite recipe. It might feel a little silly at first, but you'll be surprised at how quickly your speaking skills improve.
And the key here is consistency. The more you practice speaking to yourself, the more comfortable you'll become. Start small, and as you gain confidence, try telling stories or even narrating your thoughts in English.
That's right. And don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is just to get used to speaking and forming sentences in real time. Plus, you can always go back and correct yourself later.
Exactly. It's all about building confidence and practicing regularly. So, the next time you're alone, try talking to yourself in English. It might feel awkward at first, but trust me, it works.
Now moving on to way 2. Imitate native speakers. This one's a favorite of mine. The idea is simple: shadowing.
Shadowing? Can you explain that a bit more?
Of course. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker, whether it's in a movie, TV show, podcast, or even a YouTube video, and repeat what they say, word for word, immediately after they say it.
Ah, I see. It's like you're mimicking the way they speak, their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm.
Exactly. The goal is to get as close as possible to their natural way of speaking. It helps with pronunciation, fluency, and even understanding how English is spoken in real-life situations.
And the best part is that you can use all kinds of materials. If you're into movies, watch your favorite scenes in English and repeat the lines. If you prefer podcasts, choose one that interests you and just repeat the words as soon as you hear them.
Yes, and don't forget to pay attention to intonation, the rise and fall of your voice. It's not just about the words. It's also about how those words are said.
Absolutely. Shadowing is a great way to sound more natural and get used to the rhythm of the language. Plus, it's fun because you're learning from native speakers who sound confident and fluid, moving on to join speaking communities. This is so important. If you want to really improve your speaking, you have to practice with others.
Yes, there's no substitute for real conversations. You can join language exchange platforms or conversation groups, either online or in person, to practice speaking with other English learners or native speakers.
Exactly. Websites like Tandem or HelloTalk let you connect with people around the world who are learning your language or teaching English. You can set up video or voice calls, and that's where the real magic happens.
And even if you don't have access to a conversation partner, there are plenty of speaking groups on platforms like Facebook or Meetup. Many of these groups host free weekly sessions where you can practice with others.
And it's important to remember, don't be shy. Everyone is learning,